You're you're a familiar. I can't say face right now because I can't see you, but a familiar name. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, sir. No problem. How are you?
Good thing.
You should be good to kick us off.
Okay, we'll let you continue to add folks as they join. Thanks, Cassandra. And I'll do a quick intro. Thanks everyone for joining us this afternoon. My name is Sarah Castle. I'm a National Partner Manager with APC Schneider Electric. I am responsible for our largest partners across Canada, and that responsibility includes all of our end user facing events, our marketing engagement, pre-sale support, and post-sale support. So as you're working with your dedicated CDW folks, they are working with myself and Stephen Cardy in the background to provide you with solutions and all support needed from a pre-PO, post-PO status. With us today, I have Chris Anderson. We wanted to bring something new that we've initiated here in Canada, some new awareness to more strategic offering from Schneider. So I think for the most part, everyone knows APC Schneider for UPSs, racks, PDUs. What is not so known to everyone is the fact that we offer full turnkey solutions, being part of a Schneider Electric organization. So I will pass it over to Chris, who will introduce himself and lead you into the way of a little bit about our Schneider Electric monitoring and dispatch solution. Again, this is a agnostic solution. So for those of you who are, thank you for those of you who are current APC customers, but also relevant if you have a variety of UPSs in your current fleet. And Chris, I'll leave it over to you to, I'll pass it over to you for intro and presentation.
Perfect. Thanks, Sarah. Thanks, everybody. Hope everything's doing well on this 21st night of September. Hope everybody remembered. Sorry. I'm just going to share my screen here. And while I'm doing that, I just wanted to briefly introduce myself. So I am the Regional Service Sales Manager for Schneider Electric. So I look after primarily UPS and cooling services. And sorry, let me know if you can see my screen. Does that work?
You're good.
We're good?
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. So as Sarah mentioned, APC really has, for a long time been considered a hardware provider, providing UPS, PDUs, other data center infrastructure management. And so really what we've kind of dived into these days is more of a solution provider. So what we're going to talk about today is what we're calling our UPS, but really, connected device monitoring and dispatch service. And so where that starts is basically in the cloud. So I'm just going to show this graph here. Just taking a look at this, just very quickly, I wanted to talk a little bit about EcoStruxure. And this is a word that will come up as we go through the presentation. So really what EcoStruxure is it is a Internet of Things platform to manage and monitor your connected devices. So you'll see here at the bottom here where it says connected products, this would be all of your UPS, PDUs, ATSs, cooling units, any data center infrastructure that you would have connected on the network. So this middle section here, what we're calling edge control, this is the do-it-yourself version of our software. This would be where you would manage all of your devices locally on your network, checking alarms, planning out the status and life cycle of your equipment. And so this top level here, this is kind of new for us now, which is now where we're, thanks to the connectivity in the cloud, we're able to provide a little bit more in the way of apps, analytics, and services. And we'll talk about that right here. So here now to move forward, sorry. So as I mentioned, Schneider has traditionally provided, hardware and software for you, the customer, to manage your equipment. And so you'll see here in the top left, this is really the traditional do-it-yourself. You monitor, you service. If you need help, we have tech support. We have the resources that you need. And so really for today, what we're going to be focusing on is this section down here, what we're calling the monitor and dispatch service. So this is where we are trying to provide more value for you in remote monitoring of all of your connected devices, as well as on-site remedial service, so that any parts, batteries, or full, a whole UPS or PDU replacement can be done by a trained Schneider technician, which frees up time and resources for you to focus on the things that really you guys need to be focusing on. So take a look at a little bit of how it works. So from a high level, what this is it's 3 parts. It is 24/7 monitoring. Schneider has a service bureau based in the US that would be receiving all of the alarms and alerts that these devices would generate into our database. And we have technicians 24/7 that would be monitoring these and that would be able to proactively reach out to you based on how you feel, what you feel is important to know about. This service is customizable. We can work with you on what sorts of alarms or alerts are things that you want to be notified about. So we can reach out to you about that. We can provide remote troubleshooting. So traditionally what you would do is if, let's say, your UPS battery is low, you would contact tech support yourself and let them know about the issue. We would work through it, and then we would go from there. But in this case, we're doing that for you. We're reaching out to you directly to begin that process, begin that troubleshooting, try and figure out what the issue is, and then ultimately, in our last panel there, we're providing the on-site support. So once we determine what the issue is, we can send a technician out, whether it be a battery, whether it be a whole UPS or PDU that needs to be replaced. We'll send the technician that is trained and most capable to handle that work. And then at the bottom here, I just wanted to point out very, very quickly that we do have quite a few options for the service. It does not need to be purchased up front with the unit. It can be done after factory warranty. We've got several years, multi-year service available as well. And this is really for UPS, PDUs, battery packs, any connected data center device that you would have. And one additional note too is that this is vendor neutral as well. So it is not just for Schneider Electric products. So to show you a little bit about how this works, this is just a very basic flow chart. So you'll see you've got your connected devices on the left there. You would download a free gateway from our website that you would install onto a server on your network. All of your devices are going to feed through that gateway. The service does require us to punch a hole in your firewall. This is one-way communication through port 443. So Schneider does not have the ability to do anything remotely, to remotely access your equipment. This is strictly one-way communication for us to receive those alarms and alerts so that we can proactively reach out to you. And that's what you'll see here at the top, where all this information is going to be going into our cloud that our service bureau technicians will have access to. And that's how we'll be able to reach out to you to begin the issue resolution. So fairly simple, but I'm sure at this point you guys are probably interested in kind of seeing a little bit about how this might work. So one thing that we offer is a mobile app. This is not required to use the service, but it certainly is helpful, and it's a good way for you guys to kind of visualize that information. So I'm just going to bring this up very quickly. Let me know if you can see that. So this is just a web version of what you would see if you were to download the app. So you'll see here, you'll have a dashboard which shows kind of just a high-level overview of everything that you would need to see, any alarms that are happening, if there's been any incidents recently. You'll see some notifications here. If we go down to the bottom, there's a few.
Sorry, we're still seeing your slide.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you, Sarah.
That's okay. Sorry to interrupt.
No, appreciate it. Let me see. Apologies, guys. I think I was sharing the presentation. Sorry, I'm more used to Teams here, so let me just see if I can pull this
I
back.
feel you. Every application is very different. I'm not good in WebEx either.
Yeah. All right, let me see. Let me know if you can see this now. Oops. There we go.
Yes, we're good.
Perfect.
We can see the dashboard. Thank you.
Okay, so apologies. So as I was saying, so this is really basic. This is the dashboard that you would see when you open up the mobile app. It's going to show you, all your devices, any alarms or incidents that might have happened. And then down here, we have a few tabs that you can select. So if you can drill into the alarms specifically to see what's happened recently. So right here, we're just seeing, looks like lost communication with one of the network management cards. But this is where you would get pretty much all the information that you would need that's relevant to you about what's happening with your devices. You can filter them by active alarms and cleared alarms. Down here, you would have a list of all of your devices, anything that's connected to the service. So again, just a good way to have everything in one place. This is a look at the incidents that were created. So you'll see that our Service Bureau Tech Shalon reached out to the contact about a cooling device communication alert. Again, these alerts are customizable. So if you would only like to see the most critical alarms, we can customize the service so that that's what you would get. And then finally up here, I just want to show this as well, this is where you can kind of manage who's on duty and who's off duty. So really the way this is going to work is we're going to contact whoever we have on file as the point of contact. So this mobile app really helps to kind of manage who's going to be receiving calls at any given time. So, on business hours, off hours, and you can kind of select whether, Raymond is on duty or off duty. I don't think that feature is here, but just to give you an idea of how that works. So that is that. Back to presentation. We can see it again.
I just wanted to jump in for a quick moment,
yeah,
Chris. You've got a few more minutes, but if anyone's willing to speak up on the call or share, has anyone seen anything like this from another manufacturer or giving you the same level of visibility into the environment from a mobile standpoint or a single pane of glass? And I will take emails afterwards if you have feedback that you don't want to share. Just wanted to throw that out there. Go ahead, Chris.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, I just want to make sure I'm sharing the right stuff now. Sorry, am I back to the presentation?
Sorry, Chris, you just have to go to display settings on your screen and then just duplicate. Like right at the top there.
Okay, is this better?
Yep.
Perfect. All right, thank you so much. All right, so anyway, that's the mobile app again, just to kind of give you guys a little bit of a visual into what you might see, how the service works. So just take this a step further. Another thing that we're offering as well is every month we would send out a report, basically identifying anything that might have happened. So any incidents that came up over that month, all of the devices, what their current life cycle status is. And if I can, hopefully this works a little bit better. Oh boy. I'm gonna try and pull this up if I can. Bear with me 1 second. Nope, that's not gonna work. 1 moment. There we go. All right, so here's an example of a report that we would send to you once a month. And I think this is a good visual on what you would be able to use in terms of the analytics. So if I come down to, let's say, this page here. So this is going to show all of your UPSs that are connected. So it's showing here the number of UPSs and also by age. So in terms of budgeting for, for refresh or just life cycle management, this is a good way to help with that budgeting process to kind of identify where you might have some problem areas or some things that you might want to address in the next budget cycle. And the same goes for batteries. You'll see that we have the number of UPSs and batteries by age. So you'll see here we have 13 UPSs with batteries that are 5 years or older. So again, this just is designed to help you better plan out the life cycle of your equipment, provide you with some recommendations on some actions to take that can help increase the longevity of your equipment. I'm not sure if anybody has any questions here, but again, this is just a nice report. Not all of this information may be relevant, but it's enough that it can provide you with some reporting to provide to your management that might help with that life cycle management. Nope. All right. So to continue, just wanted to wrap this up a little bit and just kind of come back to the value proposition here. So really what we're trying to do is provide you with a bit more efficiency in terms of how you're monitoring and managing your infrastructure. I imagine, for some of you that may have a distributed network, a lot of closets, a lot of, campuses or offices, it might be difficult to have the IT staff that are trained and capable and have the time to really devote to managing all this equipment. So, for one example, this would at least help to provide a bit more efficiency, help your staff focus their time and resources on what they're best trained to do. We have the benefit really of having Schneider reach out proactively to you rather than reaching out to us to simplify the troubleshooting and incident resolution process. And then finally, having the on-site service where a trained, certified Schneider technician is coming out to do the work that perhaps the on-site staff may not feel comfortable or may not really be trained to do. Again, all of this is designed to provide you with a bit more value and help you to take an extra load off of you and allow you to focus your time and resources where they need to be. So at this time, that's all I had. I'm just going to open this up to questions now. If anybody wanted to go over any part that they saw, if there was something that you wanted some more detail on, I'd be happy to try and answer some questions. And thank you for your patience with me. Appreciate it.
Sandra, is it, could I ask that everyone who attended today's presentation receive contact information for both myself and Chris in case there's any questions or interest? We have dedicated teams who are willing to go through this in further detail if you would like more information or pricing and so on.
Yeah, so you guys can include your contact information in the chat for everyone to see, and then I can send it in an email as well.
Perfect. Thank you.
Perfect. Well, if there's nothing there, then sorry, are there any questions in the chat?
No, we don't have anything in the chat.
Perfect. So thank you guys. Appreciate your time. I'll let you enjoy your drinks. And I think we should be good. I'm no longer sharing, correct?
No, yep, you're good.
Perfect. All right, thanks so much, guys. Appreciate it.
Trevor now.
Hello. How's everybody doing? I know Chris, Sarah, and Stephen, I feel like we go way back already. But I don't know anybody else. I see a bunch of names. If you like, please do indeed turn on your video so I can see you and help guide you through making this delicious margarita. Now, I usually start by chatting a wee bit about our cocktail, but first and foremost, I want to make sure that everybody has what they need in order to make this drink proper. All right, so you should have a bottle of the most delicious tequila on the planet, Patron. Some people might argue with me on that. If you feel otherwise, please do not hesitate to chat and throw shade at me and the cocktails or the tequila, whatever makes you happy, do whatever you gotta do. I like it when it's interactive, my friends. So the other thing you're gonna need is agave syrup that is infused with pineapple. My favorite thing on the planet, and it's relevant. I will tell you why shortly. I don't know how anybody does not love pineapple. It's still pineapple and babies. Who doesn't love pineapple and babies? All right. And finally, a fresh lime. A lime right here, my friend. That's what you want in order to make your cocktail, your margarita, nicely balanced. Now, the thing I find people often forget when they're making things like a margarita or a Caesar Bloody Mary is the rim. So, yes, indeed, we've got some smoked sea salt. All right, a little smoky to help extract the smoky notes of your Patron tequila. All right. And then you're going to garnish it with one of these very beautiful looking dehydrated lime wheels. Steve, you got all this stuff? Thumbs up. How about you, Sarah? Fantastic. All right. So without further delay, tequila is one of those could be a very polarizing spirit. Steve, do you drink? Can I call you Steve? Or should I just call you
go ahead. Go ahead.
Steve or Cliff Clavin, whichever one. You're all... So Steven.
Yes, no, Steve works. Yeah.
Do you drink tequila?
Not so much lately. I don't know if you can tell, but I have a 4-year-old right here, so I don't usually drink much because she's right here beside me. But when I do enjoy some tequila sometimes.
Oh, amazing! All right, look it. I'll tell you. I'll give you the Coles notes on tequila. When's the last time you heard Coles notes? All right, it's made from what's called blue Weber agave. So agave is a plant that looks similar to the pineapple, and the bottom is called the piña. All right, it's harvested in a region called Jalisco, where the town of Tequila is located, and that's where it gets its name. Now, what they do is they actually extract a lot of juice from this particular piña, and they ferment it, and that's how you, in a very short, quick couple of seconds, explain how tequila was created. Now, originally, it was pretty much brought to the people in about 1666, I believe it is, if I'm not wrong, and it was called pulque. All right, pulque was the original name, and the Spanish conquistadors used to make pulque, and it was in order to replace brandy when their brandy basically ran out, because they like to drink. Who didn't back then? All right, there are 6 steps officially to make tequila, and Patron follows all of these right here. You got to harvest it, obviously. You got to grow that stuff, and then you got to bake it. So they usually bake it in the ground. Back in the day, they would actually bake it in the ground, kind of like if you've ever been to a luau and you see how they cook the pork. All right, but now they use these clay pots and even brick ovens, which is probably a little bit more efficient. And then that's when they shred the piña. Christopher Anderson, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fantastic, Trevor. Thank you so much for asking.
All right. And so they extract the juices by cutting it up, and basically that juice has a little bit of yeast added to it. And if you don't know the basic science behind distillation, fermentation, the yeast actually eats the sugars in the juice from the piña, and then it converts it into alcohol. They do the same thing with rum when they add yeast to sugar cane. Same with whiskey when they add, yeast to the malted barley and that sort of thing. You always need sugar. So whether it's potatoes or coconuts or whatever it is that you might be making alcohol out of, it's got to have a pretty good, rich source of sugar. And the piña from the agave is perfect for that. So I already explained about the fermentation. Then you distill it, which basically means you boil it to get it to its highest percentage of alcohol. After that, they add water, and then it's drinkable. It has to be 40% alcohol. They call it ABV, which stands for alcohol by volume. It's got to be at least 40% in Canada and the United States in order to be called tequila. If it's anything less, they got to call it something like, I don't know, mixto. So that's the other thing. Always look for the word blue Weber agave, or the words blue Weber agave, because there's a lot of fake tequilas out there, and we call them mixtos, M-I-X-T-O. And mixto is when they might add, white rum or vodka to the tequila because it's a shortcut. It's cheaper in a lot of cases. So you don't want to get a mixto, and you can often find that will happen if you don't look for the words blue Weber agave. So that's probably the most important thing. All the gobbledygook about the production, not as important. You just got to make sure that it says Blue Weber agave on it. And of course, Patron does indeed comply with that. The question I get most often about tequila, there are basically 3 styles or 3 tiers of tequila. There's silver or blanco, which is very translucent or transparent. Typically, when you see a white spirit like a tequila blanco or vodka or gin, it's intended for mixing cocktails, all right? And so that's what you will typically use a blanco for, all right? Then there's reposado, which stands for rested, all right, which is basically the translation into Spanish. Rested in oak barrels, all right, for at least 2 months to a year. And then the other one you'll see is añejo quite often, and that means aged in Spanish, and it's been aged for 1 to 3 years. The last one would be extra añejo, would be aged for over 3 years. And then once you get into that category, you're looking at big, big bucks. Now, people love to collect tequila. It's become very in style these days. And so, you know, obviously Patron isn't the only one out there. Casamigos was the brand that George Clooney had, and that really gained popularity thanks to him spreading word. The Rock has one now called Terramana. Just about every celebrity you know has a tequila or a spirit out there, so it's very common. But you know, we're going to use the white or the blanco simply because it mixes well in a margarita. All right. Yeah, there's no questions, and we can always go for it. The only other thing I would say is the oak that they use, these barrels that they age the tequila in, you know, it can range from French oak to Spanish oak that they age sherry in to American oak. Most often it's an American oak barrel from like Jack Daniels or one of your favorite bourbons, because bourbon, when you're making bourbon whiskey, you can only use the barrel one time and then you discard it. And for a little nerdy fact for you, Steve-O, they did that to help with the economy, all right? And so, you know, if you only use a barrel one time and you chuck it, then you just keep the factory making these coopers employed. But those barrels are still good after the first use. It's kind of like a tea bag. Use a tea bag once. If you're super cheap, you use it 2, 3 more times. Trust me, I know, my friends. Yes. Don't come to my house for tea. That's what I should also say. All right, so without further delay, you have your ingredients as well as, well, bar tools. The bar tools that you should officially have to make a proper margarita are a shaker. Sarah Castle, do you have one of these shakers? Thumbs down. All right. Do you have one of these? Do you have a mason jar?
I do not. Yeah,
No.
yeah.
You can use a mason. Show you how to use a mason jar for this. That'd be kind of
Okay.
fun. All right. If you don't have what's called a jigger or a measure, some people call it, especially with tequila, they call it a shot glass, but there's actually called a jigger. All right. If you don't have a jigger, you can use one of these, you know, little measuring guys from your pantry. All right. So this one.
How much tequila are you putting in this?
Well, listen, 1.5 ounces is what the recipe says, but I'm pretty loosey-goosey. I like about 2 ounces in most of my cocktails. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
Look, Steven's gone. Where did Steve go? Steve went to get something.
I'm getting myself a jigger is what I'm getting.
He's getting a jigger.
I love a man who has the proper tools. All right, fantastic. So those are pretty much the only 2 things you need. But before I forget, which happens almost too often, we're going to cut our lime in half, Sarah. All right. Now, Sarah, I'm using you, Stephen, and Chris because you are the only cats that I can see right now. So you're gonna walk through this with me. Once you have your line cut right down the belly, you're gonna use that to kiss the lip of your glass here. All right. Now, some people like to rim the entire glass. I kind of just do a section of it, like maybe half of it would suffice. You take your salt, you dip your glass in the salt just like so. And I'll tell you why I use that technique, because not everybody wants a mouthful of salt when they're sipping their delicious margarita. I find that sometimes it can be a little bit, I don't know, it's just too salty, right? So sometimes what I'll do is if I make my agave syrup or I make simple syrup, I'll actually add some salt to it. A lot of pastry chefs will do that. They'll add a pinch of salt to their baking, so you get that sweet and salty taste combined. But sometimes I find if I get a mouthful of salt, it's a little bit off-putting for me. So I leave a little spot here on the corner or on the edge, so that if a person doesn't want to have a mouthful of salt, they can also just sip from the area where it's saltless. All right? Okay, great. Next, you can take half of that lime and squeeze it right into your shaker. I almost said jigger. All right. Or your mason jar, if you happen to be using one. Now you can do a couple of things. You can squeeze it, you can brace it against the side or the walls of your shaker like this and push like so. Or if you happen to have what's called a Mexican elbow, I'll show you what that is. It's a citrus press. All right, in Mexico, they use this one. They call it a Mexican elbow. And you can just take that like this. You put the open face down inside like so, and then you squeeze it right in like this. 0.75 is about 1 and a smidge of your lime. All right. Now, some limes happen to be a little bit thicker skinned than others. If you have a thick skinned lime, make sure you give it a little massage. And once you massage the lime, it'll loosen up the pulp and the juices inside. I'll often keep what we call a spent lime shell, and I'll use that to garnish at the end. We also have the dehydrated stuff, but I'm all about, I don't like to waste when I'm making cocktails. So I like to use as much of the stuff that I've, put into the cocktail as I can, even if it's as a garnish. So I might hold on to this like so. Once you've added your 3/4 ounce pour of lime juice, you're going to add equally as much agave, right? So your pineapple infused agave nectar or agave syrup. Agave is very popular for people who don't want sugar, as an alternative to sugar. It's got a bit of a lower glycemic index. Woo! I got it out with one shot. Chris, you look impressed, buddy.
I am.
All right. So add, now, if you happen to be pouring, Sarah, a good technique. So I'll use my my little measure here that I got from my baking counter. So you want to pour as close to the shaker as possible, simply because if you're back here and you're pouring, you might spill. It gets all over your clothes. It gets all over the floor. At least here, if you spill it, it's going to go right into your shaker where it's intended to go. So always remember.
It's like he's met me before.
Are you kind of like a bit of a clumsy one?
Sometimes.
Because I am old. I'm lucky if I get through one of these without spilling something all over the place, which is funny because my laptop is right there where I see everybody. You cannot even start to believe how much syrup I've got on my laptop. It's amazing. It's still.
That would be a great explanation back to Schneider on my part.
Try explaining that one, right?
Yeah.
Your keyboard smells like tequila. All right. So you're gonna add again. You can add 1.5, but I had 2 ounces. I'm not gonna lie. Please don't judge me. 2 ounces of your tequila right into your shaker. Boom, like so. And if you're ever looking for, if you're ever looking for a nice little alternative when you're making margaritas, you can add a little hint of lemon juice too. I find that lime and lemon juice makes the perfect balance as well for me, but everybody's palate is different. So it just depends. Now, we've got our sweet element, which is the agave nectar infused with pineapple. We also have our lime, which is indigenous to Mexico, which is why they use it. So all these ingredients are indigenous to the region where you're getting the tequila, right? And that's why it's such a popular cocktail. Back during Prohibition, a lot of people went to, let's say, Cuba when they were in the States. They would fly to Cuba back when, if you've seen the Aviator, back when Pan Am Airlines was around, they used to fly to Cuba, they'd fly to Mexico, and this is post-Prohibition, but that drove a lot of tourism to Mexico, and they wanted what was called a daisy cocktail. And a daisy is the margarita, and it's any of these cocktails that are infused with, citrus and tequila. Those are usually a daisy and add a hint of the agave syrup. So that's another little factoid. Now, you're going to fill your shaker with ice. All right, so go on and grab your ice. Another side note here. I'm using a rocks glass from my parents' basement where I found my Commodore 64 the other day, Steve-O. All right. I love old throwback glassware. So you can find this stuff anywhere at a thrift store or whatnot. You guys have got your own rocks glasses. You can also pour a margarita into something like that and some stemware. Sometimes, people like their margaritas straight up without the rocks, but today we're doing it with rocks. So add your ice, and the folks who are on the line, the ideal amount of time to shake, and you want to fill it again about 3/4 of the way, not fully, because you want space so that the ice hits the top of the shaker and the bottom of the shaker. When you're doing that, you're adding dilution because you're breaking up the ice. When the ice melts quicker, you're adding that, you're creating like limeade. So that's why we're doing this process. All right. 20 seconds. We're going to shake for Sarah. Ready? Here we go. I see you, Steve. We're at 10 seconds. 3, 2, 1. All right. Your hands should can't even speak. I'm so cold. Your hands should be nice and cold. You should be able to, well, it wouldn't happen with your mason jar, but if you have a good shaker, you should be able to pretty much scrape the frost off the side if it's ready. One of the other tests, you can put your tongue on the shaker, and if it sticks, it's good to go. All right, here we go. Don't ask me how I learned that. Take the top off. Now, Sarah, because you're using a mason jar, all right, you know that little, this wee guy on the top here?
Yeah.
That's gonna be a substitute for your strainer. So you see I have one of these strainers. You're gonna use this guy right here, okay? So you're gonna position it kind of like that. You think you can manage that one?
I cheated.
What would you do?
I used an APC Yeti to shape
That's a
my,
good idea.
Open up the top
Yeah.
little thing.
That's
yeah,
great.
and then I can open up the top.
Holy moly, I should have brought my Yeti. Yetis are great. Yes, that's a perfect way to do it. That's actually because it's got the little strainer piece, the little mouthpiece that you can strain through. So yes, nicely done.
Yeah, I was a little nervous to shake it, so.
All right,
But-
well look at that works. That totally works. Now I have some special ice here. I have like these perfect cubes that I like to use. So if you're pouring, a margarita over ice, or you're doing an old fashioned, or maybe a Manhattan or a martini over ice, you want to get really nice ice. And so I've got some ice that I'm using to shake. This is super nerdy stuff, but whatever. What I do is I get a mold, right? I fill the mold with water, obviously, and then I put the mold into one of these little teeny tiny coolers. Then you put this cooler in your freezer, and you get crystal clear ice, like the stuff that the photographers use. All right. There's another little Martha Stewart thing for you. All right, here we go. Pouring that over the ice. Me and Martha go way back too. Yep, not gonna lie. She's got a lot of good things. Next, this is where you add your garnish to indicate, because some people, when I used to work at a bar and people were within reaching distance, they just snatched the glass up from me. I'm like, wait, hold on a second. Your cocktail is not complete until you add your garnish. So you're gonna take your dehydrated lime wheels, you're gonna drop them right in there. If you like, this is where you might take your lime like this, and you might want to drop it right on top, like that, right? So you could do that too. I do that because, especially with margaritas, you want the person that you serve to know that you squeeze the juice fresh. Otherwise, they might think it came out of, well, listen, it might have come out of this thing right here. It could have, like, back in the old days, they used to use this kind of stuff, right? From Woolco or Walmart, wherever this came from. I really pillaged my parents' bar the other day. It's not a secret anymore. So you want to use fresh ingredients because that shows that you actually care. And hospitality is a huge part of bartending. Cheers!
Cheers. Wish I had a drink.
That is good. I'm glad I had 2 ounces. I'll be honest. I find that
Okay, I
the
have
2
a question.
bottoms up, Megan. Nicely done. Yes,
I feel
find
like
that
I did
What's
not
that?
add enough of this pineapple syrup.
So listen, add a little bit more of the pineapple syrup, Sarah.
Steven, do you have a full glass? Like, what's happening here?
I do. I actually put a bit more in while he was talking. I was like, I'm gonna sneak a bit more in there.
There, don't tell me you spilled half of it. Did you?
Oh,
Mine tastes really good. See, the key to when you're making a cocktail, everybody, is you want balance, right? So balance, you have to think of, especially with the margarita, or let's say the daiquiri, or a sour, whiskey sour, something like that. You want to make sure that you can taste a little bit of the sweet and the sour. And depending on who you're serving, they might like their drink a little more on the sweeter side, or they might like it a little bit on the sour side. But the key piece is the tequila. You don't want the tequila to get lost in the mix, and you don't want it to disappear. Steven, somebody just popped up out of
Sorry?
little one just popped up out of nowhere.
Yeah, she was curious as to what it was. I tried to get her to smell it. She went, no.
How many kids you got, Steve?
Just the one.
That's the
She
one.
just started kindergarten. So she came back and she was just started kindergarten. So I was like, hey, come learn how to mix drinks with me. Got to start her early.
Oh, yes, JK, of course.
Yeah.
So, Sarah, did you make your adjustment? Did you add a little hint of the sweetness?
I did. It was good. I actually like that.
Yes, and you know what? The agave nectar, you can use it on a number of things. Like you were saying, should you refrigerate it? Yes, once you've opened it, you should refrigerate it. And then also you can use it on anything. I like to eat waffles. I put a little bit of the agave nectar and the pineapple stuff on the waffles with a couple slices of fresh pineapple. You can use it on basically anything that you would typically use with syrup. You could even use it in an old fashioned if you really like to. Pineapple is indicative of hospitality. So back in the old days, pineapple was very expensive. And so, Akito, what's happening, brother? How's your beverage?
It's fantastic.
Who's your friend?
That's my wife.
How you doing, wife?
I'm good. How are you?
What's your name?
Wife.
Wife.
Oh,
Wife.
all right. Hey, listen, did Akito make you a drink as well?
He made me make part of it, but yes.
What do you think? It's good?
It's delicious. Yeah, it's really good.
Fantastic. Well, I'm glad to hear that you're sad.
I have a quick question.
Shoot, go nuts. Let me check the chat too.
The pineapple agave syrup, is it just pineapple juice and agave syrup like mixed together, or what's the deal there?
Well, that's an excellent question. You can do either or, my friend. So when you get, let's say you go to Winners, because I buy a lot of agave nectar, agave syrup from Winners, right? And you can get just typical agave nectar, and you can add a hint of water. So let's say you had a cup of agave nectar, add about a quarter cup of water, because it can get really thick and you don't want to thicken when you're heating it. Then you add a couple of cubes of the pineapple, and I say a couple, let's say about half a cup of pineapple, or you can add half a cup of pineapple juice. It just depends on which one you have, right? So that'll work. You boil it or heat it for about 10 minutes, and then you strain, and then you have the simple agave syrup with the pineapple infusion. And you can experiment. The longer you leave the pineapple in there, obviously, the more pineapple you taste, and the less time it's in there, the more subtle it is. So I like to add a lot of pineapple juice. Sometimes in Mexico, they shave a lot of ice. They have like a lot of those snow cones. You can use that same agave nectar on the snow cone, which is kind of a nice treat. If you have children like Steven, so you can do, that's a little trick. Control the amount of sugar in their diet a little bit, which seems to be impossible most of the time.
Just don't give her the tequila. Just don't give her the tequila with it.
Well, that's true. Just take the tequila out, right? Any other questions?
She's in junior kindergarten. She's more of a vodka drinker anyway.
Oh, I remember those days. Yeah. Because those kids, those seniors are a real pain in the neck, man. Christopher Anderson, did you have any questions?
I don't. My only question is when my drink is going to get here, but that's all right. I'll work with Sarah on that.
Yeah, I owe Chris
How
a
about you?
martini.
Chris, do you drink gin or vodka?
I'm actually a gin guy. I'm a gin and tonic when I go to the bar.
Any particular brand of gin you drink?
Nope.
All right.
I don't even know what the good ones are.
Okay, there you go. I know what kind of drink you are. No judgment at all. No judgment zone here when we're making cocktails. Yes. Any other questions?
Trevor, you are awesome. Chris is making fun of me because he said it sounded like I did not like my drink, but I actually enjoy this quite.
It
This is
did. It did. At first, I thought you didn't like it. I was like, oh, okay.
No, I'm so sorry. That was not the impression I meant to leave. It's good. I'm super hesitant with Patron. It's been a long time since I've had a visit with Patron, and it's very good. Thank you.
And look, this is the funny thing. For a long time, tequila had that stigma associated with it because most of us, we do, back in the day, you used to do shots of it, right? I remember when I was at Second City, we used to line them up at the end of the night and just pound them. But over the last, let's say, 10 or 15 years, you've seen a lot of the reposados and the añejos come out, and they really refined the art of aging in the barrels that has taken tequila to a height that nobody expected to see it go to. So, it's different now. It's different from, especially back in the old days when you were a kid or a teenager and you're going through your parents' like selection of spirits, and then you have a bad memory associated with it. It's hard to reverse that stigma, right? 1 tequila, 2 tequila, 3 tequila, floor. I think I have that t-shirt somewhere. Well, listen, it's been an absolute pleasure to take you through a little bit of the history of the margarita, as well as the of the tequila spirits. And I hope that you folks have a wonderful rest of the week. What day is it? Is it Tuesday? That's what my life is like. Yeah, you don't know either.
Mm-hmm.
Tuesday. Yes. I hope you have an awesome hump day tomorrow and the rest of the week. And cheers once again. Thanks, Sarah. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Stephen, and everybody.
Thanks, Trevor.
Thank you, Trevor. And thank
Thank you so
you,
much.
everyone who joined us
Trevor.
today. Appreciate your time. Hope you enjoyed.
Yeah, thanks all.
Thank you so
Hope I
much.
get to work with you all. All right. Bye, everyone.
Take care.
Cheers.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.